Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. I am joined today by little Alfred the Great, and there are other cats tootling around. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll make an appearance on camera. But this is the daily forecast for Tuesday, December 24th, 2024. It is the 4th of Capricorn. It is the day of elves. And it is also family night for Yuletide. Corresponds with Christmas Eve because why not? This is the time of year when a lot of families are getting together anyway. So spend as much time with your family as you can. Cook, bake together, have a good visit, tell stories, sing songs, especially if you haven't seen people in a long while. Enjoy all of the cultural aspects of Christmas Eve with your non pagan relations. And I think that it's very possible for us to have these family events. Apologies if you can hear that. Apparently, the kitty decided that the bells on the doors needed to be played with. Anyway, I think it's possible for us to have these family events in which people of different faiths have different interpretations of them or having different experiences with them, or really it has different meaning for them. And now for your Christian relatives, I'm sure this is a very religious occasion, and I'm definitely not saying don't let them drag you off to church. I think that goes a bit above and beyond the call of duty. But definitely enjoy, having, sitting down to dinner, having a good long visit, singing songs, doing all of the fun things, watching those holiday movies together, and just shutting out the rest of the world. Focus only on your nearest and dearest. I think that not only is that a possible thing to do, I think it's a very good thing to do. So, moving on to our astrology. Today, the sun is in Capricorn, cardinal Earth, representing ambition. The moon is void. Just hold it. It's void. Nothing to be done about that. Mercury is in Sagittarius, mutable fire, which is to be opinionated. Venus is in Aquarius, fixed air, which is to be intellectual. Mars is retrograding in Leo, fixed fire, which represents tempered action. Jupiter is retrograding in Gemini, mutable air, which is to broaden perspective. Saturn is in Pisces, mutable water, representing nostalgia. Uranus is retrograding in Taurus, fixed earth, representing rebellion. Neptune is in Pisces, mutable water, representing intuition. And Pluto is in Aquarius, fixed air, representing reformation. For our retrogrades, for Mars, reconsider what you really want. For Jupiter, reconnect with your true path. For Uranus, reconsider how you rebel. And for Chiron, restore the heroic spirit. Our moon is in that fourth quarter, so we're still releasing the stagnant energy. But because we have a void moon, rest, retreat, this is actually a really great placement, especially if you have family gatherings coming up. Because again, many families, whether they're pagans or non pagan, they're gathering together this evening. So it's a time to relax, enjoy the company, enjoy the festivities, whatever your family traditions consist of. The moon is void, so there's nothing magical really to be done anyway. So put down your tools, put down your troubles, put down any icky aspect of your life. Just take it all in and enjoy being with your family. Our tarot for today is Father Christmas, appropriately enough. In this deck, Father Christmas corresponds with the Hermit card in the traditional decks. He's number 9 in the major arcana, and that represents introspection. And his keywords are reflection, guidance, and solitude. And it is kind of a lonely role that he has in folklore. I mean, yes, he's up in the sleigh, and it's all very jolly with a big bowl of presents and with the reindeer and everything else. But he is on his own doing all of that. He's on his own, spreading a little bit of joy, spreading a bit of goodness throughout the world. And we never picture him, having Mrs. Claus right by his side. I mean, sometimes you might see elf helpers, depicted in popular fiction, but it is still a very lonely road to walk. And so we might sometimes feel lonely in our own roads, but that doesn't mean it should prevent us from looking for opportunities to do good in the world, even if it's only so much as, just not. Allowing our bad mood to take on such proportions that it ruins other people's days, of learning self control, learning how to get ourselves up out of the dumps, learning to keep going even when things are difficult. These are acts of goodness that actually have a good impact on the whole rest of the world, because it's impacting our circle. We're not adding it to any kind of poison that's in the world. And I think that's much more powerful than people really consider. So maybe this is something before you go off and you have fun with your family. Maybe this is something to have in the back of your mind just now. Then today's Celtic triad, three who are hard to believe: a wanderer from afar, the reader of a book in a strange tongue, and they who are older than their neighbors. So if someone's from far away, especially if we were in the days before the internet, they can easily make claims about any and everything that cannot be verified. And so any kind of stories that they might have to tell, you would have to approach with some level of skepticism because if it's true or false, you have no way to verify it. And then a book in a language that you don't understand, but someone says, "Oh, I can read this book. Don't worry about it." They can easily be misrepresented, and because how would you know? You don't know the language the book is written in, and so someone could tell you it's about anything else. I mean, the book could be about how to grow roses that are just beautiful year after year, and someone could tell you, "Oh, this is a manual for a car mechanic," or "This is a spiritual tome." You don't know because you can't read it. So this is again another opportunity to withhold lending credulity. And as far as those who are older than their neighbors, people who are older than the people around them, they experience the world in a different chapter of its story. They're from a previous era, and they might be blinded by nostalgia. You know, and I find that even my own generation. I mean, we're in our 40s now, and you hear a lot of us talking about, oh, we need to have something a bit more what's like in the 90s. And well, admittedly, things in the world were not in as much of a tussle back in the 90s, to be sure. But it's also true, we are nostalgic for it. Part of the reasons why we're comfortable with that paradigm of the world is because we already experienced it. We feel comfortable in it. And I would go so far as to say we even feel safe in it. So it's not a scary thing. It's certainly not as scary as the present or a lot of potential futures that yawn before us. And so, in a way, it does kind of by just natural necessity, it puts us a little bit out of touch with those who are younger than us because they didn't experience that world. They don't know for themselves if it was better or if it was just us. Well, it was familiar. And because it was familiar, that makes it better, at least, to us. They don't have that. So I think that's also kind of worth just bearing in mind is that there are reasons why people aren't necessarily on board with when anytime someone issues an opinion, and it's not so much passing judgment on the person who's telling the tale, although sometimes that is a factor. But it's more so of just we exist in different worlds and different realities, and what you are telling me is not matching up with anything that I can see. So that's, I don't know, maybe especially in the new year, maybe that's something we can bear in mind, especially with public discussions. Then today's magical correspondences, they are about passion. So the color is red, the plant is the rose, the animal's the excuse me, not sure where my voice went just now. But the animal is the elk. The crystal is red tourmaline. And so when it comes to passion, use your passions as fuel. Allow it to be fuel. Let it be the means by which you go forward. But don't permit your passions to become a steering wheel. We actually have quite a few Celtic triads that we've discussed in the past who counsel about keeping our passions under control. And again, it's about having these things in their proper place. It's an excellent fuel. It sucks as a steering wheel because passion, just it wants what it wants, and it's very immediate and it's of the moment. And even if it's a passion of long standing, something you've always been interested in, always been wanting to do, in order to actually achieve what you hope to achieve, you're going to need to bring in logic and reason and very dull practicalities. And also, you're going to have to listen to your intuition because even though you might really be enthused about something, your intuition might be saying, it's glittering, but I don't think that it's gold. There are other factors to take into account. God, I cannot talk today. Oh, it doesn't matter. We're in the middle of Yuletide, so it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We can communicate more clearly in January. But it is about keeping things in the right place. And while passion is not something to hammer out of our being, we do need to remember its limitations, what it can do and what it can't do. Then for today's hearthkeeping hint, it is all about housework, and especially since probably the next day or two we're either going to be being guests or we're going to have guests over, so we might have some last minute things that we need to attend to. So if I might be so bold as to offer some advice, do the yuckiest job first. Whatever you're dreading, get it over with. That way you don't have it hanging over your head, and that way you know it's done. And then, of course, there's the traditional work your way top to bottom, left to right, back to front. That is a pretty thorough way of getting things done. If you have bigger jobs that aren't, necessary for the immediate future, space those out over time. Trying to do all of it once, that's just going to create failure, and you will despair, and then it may not end up getting done at all. So much better to say, maybe you schedule one really big job per month throughout the year. That way, you get 12 big things done, but you're not driving yourself crazy. Also, remember each member of the household can and should be required to shoulder their share of the responsibility. And I realize that may be a campaign for a protracted war, not necessarily just one battle. I get that. However, it is to everyone's benefit if they are understand that they have their load to carry. They are supposed to attend to these things, and and of course, as the children get older, there's nothing wrong with saying because you are older, because you're getting closer to adulthood, because you need to contribute and because you need to know how to live life on your own once you will do, graduate from living in this house. You need to know how to do these things. So I think a little bit more hard nose on the subject of chores is something that would ultimately benefit families. And then, whatever your process is, don't make it cumbersome. Don't keep your supplies in an inconvenient place. Don't make things harder than what they have to be. Doing it that way is how you ensure that things don't get done. So efficiency, convenience as far as being able to get in and out with being able to access your supply, all of these things make it practical. So next up, our practice gather with family. It is family night. Focus on tasks. Our archetype for today is the Winter Warrior. What can he teach about ambition? Then, as a meditation prompt, what is your relationship with challenges? And then, if you have anything that contains garnet, consider wearing or carrying it today. Then in our creative corner, it's about that kitchen, which I'm sure is about to be employed to very active use. So ensure that your kitchen is equal parts beautiful and practical. If you haven't already decorated by now, yeah, I suppose put up a bow somewhere so at least it's a little bit festive. But you can have your pretties out without dominating your countertop space or getting in the way of your cooking. And if you are too cluttered up, get it out of the way. You don't need to be shifting around delicate pieces of pottery that look pretty but aren't actually helping you actually cook the meal. Just think kitchens of all places, they've got to be practical. Make it beautiful, yes, but make sure that you can still use it for its appointed task. And then our journal prompt: what does accomplishing goals teach you about yourself? Hopefully, over the past year, you've accomplished a lot of goals for yourself, so you have a lot of experience to draw upon. But if that hasn't been your experience so far, you might choose to write about what you hope accomplishing your goals will do for you. And then you might take the opportunity to start writing out a plan step by step of how you might get from point A to point B. Sometimes, if we just take the trouble to write out the steps, it makes it a lot easier to get to our completion point. So that's something to give a chance. So, on that note, everyone, have a magical day. I wish you bright blessings and all the joys of the season. If you are getting together with family tonight, I hope you enjoy every single minute of it. And of course, I will be here tomorrow, bright and early, with the next edition of the Daily Forecast. But bye for now.